Welcome back to the Dynamic Life Cycles podcast. This week, we have Jason Lucas on. Yes, if you've watched any form of mountain biking content, you've probably come across his face. Between the IFHT, Mahalo My Dude, and Pinkbike, plus a bunch of other mountain bike culture projects, he's done it all. What I love about Jason is he's spent a bunch of time trying to make mountain biking fun and accessible to everybody, not just the elites. So I'm super pumped to get him on, share the story, and I hope you guys enjoy the listen too. Cheers. All right, how are you?
I'm good. Yeah. I just actually finished a Zwift session.
Okay.
So we're in that time of year where I don't want to go outside. So I just entered the metaverse essentially of bicycles, and I pedal with all my virtual buddies.
Was this the first one of the year, or have you done a couple for this season?
Ooh, I'm about a month into it now.
Okay.
So yeah, there's been a few. So I'm just it's very important for me to have like really good entertainment. Like on my computer screen, I have like on the left like a good setup of YouTube videos or a movie or something, and then on the right is like the Zwift boring stuff.
Yeah, I always struggle with it. Like I've done a ton of racing and training, and always had like the metrics on the screen, and like I don't know if you ever remember the Sufferfest videos and things like that from way back in the day. But now all of these virtual realities and the worlds and stuff just like blows my mind how essentially, as you say, it's like a video game to then ride your bike inside, and it's like it's just insane. So when you say you have like other entertainment, what else are you putting on the screen, like movies and stuff like that, or is there different things, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, like YouTube videos for sure, mountain bike content for sure, car content, yeah, movies, TV shows, just something with like pace, like so I can just look at that and like briefly glance at like whatever I'm doing on Zwift. But yeah, I can't just look at that 3D screen for that long, because like you're there for like an hour and a half, and yeah, that's crucial. But yeah, that's my life right now. That's the time of year we're in. Are
you doing like activities on there, or are you just riding in general, or like the workouts and stuff like that?
Yeah. No, I do some of the workouts. This is riveting content, I'm sure. I do some of the workouts because I feel like that's just like good, like form, I guess. Does that make sense? Like it gives you a warm up, and then there's like some ramps usually, and then you have to put out certain amounts of power that I normally wouldn't ever try to do. So I think those are good, but then I also just do routes like in between, because sometimes I don't want to push like 250 watts for a minute, because that feels like garbage.
It's not fun being in the pain cave at all sometimes.
No, and you're just in your house sweating everywhere. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
I also don't have a good setup. Like I use like a desktop fan kind of thing, and it's just like, I don't know, it's not great, but it's only for like 3 months of the year.
Yeah, if that. And you can sort of, if you pick a good window, you can still get outside. And this year I've ditched the trainer for an e-bike, and I find it's working better mentally, I think.
Yeah.
Like, even though it's wet and disgusting and we haven't quite hit full winter yet, but I'm hoping that even in full winter, I'm going to still be motivated to go outside.
It's nice. I like the idea. I have an e-bike as well, and like I feel like it doesn't replace my bike rides. It just like makes them different. For example, usually I leave just right from home, which I'd never do on a regular bike, and I just pedal from our door and go to the mountains, and I have plenty of battery to get up and down.
Yeah,
and it's like what would usually be like a 6 to 15 kilometer ride is now like a 35 kilometer ride. And so did you find that too?
Yeah, exactly. Like what bike are you on now? Like what e-bike are you
It's a Norco Site VLT.
Okay.
The newer one.
Yeah, the new CX. Those things are great. But exactly as you say, like literally put all my gear on inside in the warm house, then jump on the bike, and it just takes that like struggle out of the climb, and nobody likes slogging it up the hill, I guess, with a wet gear, wet ground, soggy ground. Yeah, it's just not fun. So I think like the e-bike, hopefully will change what I do through the winter.
Man, there's gonna be 2 weeks though where you're like, nah, I'm not doing that.
Nah.
You'll destroy your bike for one.
Yeah. There's always, whenever I talk to people back home in Australia, they're like, oh, how do you ride all year round? I'm like, well, you ride for like 50 weeks of the 52 weeks in Vancouver. I feel like if you're a little further north, then yeah, you wouldn't be riding as much. But I think in Vancouver, give or take 2 weeks, you can pretty much ride all year round.
Yeah, we're pretty lucky for sure.
Yeah. And so I guess the big reason of getting you in here, and I want to try to say this as respectful as I can because...
Oh, God.
Bombshell. Because I've been battling in my head on how to say this, but I feel like you are one of the only guys that has been able to make a living out of riding your bike without being fast enough to be a professional racer. And I think you guys were obviously very early on, like right at the beginning of YouTube, obviously right at the beginning of social media. You had the cameras and things like that, and obviously it took off from there. But like, it's such a crazy thing to think about, like how many people out there are trying to do the racing thing, and it's what 1% of cyclists or something like that actually make it to being a fully paid role. And then I think about like how many social media content people and obviously with Instagram and TikTok and all of those there now, that there's a lot more out there than there used to be. But for you, like, where did that start? Like, obviously with both you and Matt teaming up and things like that at the beginning, like how did that start out?
Yeah, I mean, if we go back to like why I started riding bikes back when I grew up in Richmond, which is a very flat city. I've told this story before, but you know, all we had was dirt jumps in a skate park. And so back then, that was like 2008. I rode because it was a good way to hang out with my buddies who also rode bikes. But I also was like, oh, I watched Neural Disorder, I watched Cranked, and I watched Crankworks. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, you could make a career if you're like a slopestyle athlete or a big free ride athlete. I wasn't as into racing, and I don't know why. But tricks were just more appealing at that time. So I was like, oh, maybe I can do that. And years went by, learned a lot of tricks, entered some contests, didn't do well, crashed a lot, hurt a lot of bones and ligaments and some concussions and stuff. And it was just like, okay, this is insane. And kind of like what you're saying, like you gotta really, it's not luck. Like obviously these people are putting in a lot of work to get to the top, but there is some element of like, you sometimes just get through that stage and you don't get that hurt, and you do get those opportunities and you do perform well, and other times you don't. So alongside that kind of journey was the same time I picked up a camera because I wanted to film myself and my buddies ride bikes. And then I met Matt he also grew up in Richmond. He rode bikes. We both started playing with cameras, and not like, I think now maybe some people you start filming themselves because they do want to do like a content creation career, or they have other ideas in mind. Honestly, for us, we were just like, oh, we just want to see what we look like riding bikes. And also it's like, I guess we're creative, and this feels like a good way to get that creativity out. There was no like career path in mind.
Yeah, it's almost like, I think back, and I'm not sure how old you are, but I feel like we're on a pretty similar age bracket.
I'm 33.
Okay, so you're a couple of years younger. I'm 36. So, but yeah, I feel like we're on that similar age bracket where cameras were good enough that you could take a small digital camera out in your back pocket, film yourself, and then it was almost like a comparison to what you were seeing in the movies. So like, I grew up with like Krusty Demons of the Dirt, and then all the moto side of things, and then when I transitioned into the mountain bikes, exactly the same thing. Like you had all the Clay Porter films, all the New World Disorder, all of that type of stuff was happening. And I feel like it was such a cool like comparison to put yourself on the, let's call it, big screen of the TV, versus them watching the athletes do it or the professionals do it. Did you find that? Did you find that like there was a bit of that behind it and that was more emotive than anything else?
Yeah. I think like, so I think the art of like art question or quotations, the like process, I guess, more of like going out there with your buddies. We'd go to a new spot and yeah, we'd have like a handy cam kind of set up and film each other. And then either I would go home and edit or Matt or somebody would edit the footage, and then like putting that in, I'm going to date myself, but in the MSN group chat after, like putting the video in there and be like, guys, look, like this is what we did. And everyone be like, that's so sick. Like that feeling, I guess, of like your buddies are stoked. And then this was early days internet forums. So like we'd put on NSMB or maybe Pinkbike forums and like get like 3 or 4 reply, like comments or whatever. That's like, that's sweet. Like, good job. Like, oh, didn't know that spot looked like that or whatever. And I think there was an aspect of it being not such a pro level that maybe it was more approachable for some people to watch and be like, oh, they're just out there having fun riding trails. Obviously, we would have loved to be more pro level riding, but we weren't. And so, yeah, I think there was like an element of that kind of, now it's like gratification. You see the likes and the comments come in and stuff. It was like maybe the early days of that.
Yeah, for sure. And then how did that start to transition into like YouTube and stuff? You kind of mentioned like the forums. When I looked it up, YouTube was around or started in 2005. Mm-hmm. How early were you guys on board with YouTube, and was that just a natural transition into that side of things, or?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, like, I always watched YouTube and not from like I watched it for like funny, stupid videos, right? Like cat videos and stuff in the early days. So I think originally, like, we were posting in mountain bike focused communities, and then when IFHT started, that was around 2009, and that was built out of wintertime boredom, still having these cameras and wanting to be creative. And Matt and I worked together on like some really early sketch comedy, no bikes at all, because back then we were like, well, bikes are like the niche, like no one really watches that type of thing. We're going to do like just comedy, which is what we like anyway. Make a bunch of videos, and we originally just uploaded to Facebook, and that was again for our friends to see, and like in our schools or whatever, and watch there. And then I think along the way someone was like, oh, YouTube's doing this new, like, you can be a YouTube partner and like earn money, and there's people doing it that like make a living. We're like, oh, weird, crazy. Well, I guess we'll put it on YouTube then. So that was like, I guess, kind of natural, but also like there still wasn't really a path, and mountain bikes weren't a part of it. Yeah,
for sure. Mm-hmm. Do you find, and I guess like this is maybe jumping ahead a couple of steps, but were you, I'm trying to think how I word this question, but were you sort of in the beginning, like obviously, as you said, like watching a lot of those sort of meme videos, comedy videos, and then once the mountain bikes started coming into that world, would you find yourself being more of one of the original guys in that side of things, or where did that start to set up with the mountain bikes? Like, for sure,
yeah. I mean, I don't want to claim that we were like the first to do that, and
no, for sure.
Honestly, I would give more credit to Matt, because I was working at a bike shop. I always had like another job alongside when we were making videos, because like I said, it wasn't really a career path. And also just like the money wouldn't have made sense at that time. Mm-hmm. So I was working in bike shops, and I worked at like a bike distributor here in North Vancouver. And that was kind of starting his career as a filmmaker and a director. And he started working with NSMB. And so he was already making mountain bike content, but more like, you know, of like high quality riding and great cinematography. But then the worlds did start to kind of collide in terms of like comedy and bikes. And then like how to be a mountain biker was, I would say, one of our first like bigger successes in that world. And it was like, oh, there is like a market for this, or there is like people who are interested in this. And I think it was just very lucky timing where there was a ton of great content coming out in terms of like high quality, sick riding, great locations, like insane. But that's all great. I love watching that, but it's not very relatable. And so when we kind of came in, we're like, well, we can't do that. We can't be those people, but we can write funny jokes and make fools of ourselves.
Yeah.
And so that kind of, it seemed to just hit right at that time. And yeah, like Matt was definitely like the driving force behind that, which is sweet.
Yeah, and I feel like even when I think back, like I was still in Australia, I was just getting into mountain biking, like that type of thing, and seeing your content come out, I still remember it being like weirdly off key to the rest of the content that was around. In exactly the same way that you mentioned. It was sort of like you had these massive budget films that would come out once a year, they'd follow all the races, and then there was like you guys and maybe one or two others out there that were doing more of that relatable content, and almost, without saying poking fun, but like having that comedy edge to it. And it was so refreshing to see. And it was almost like when it would come out, how many people were talking about it over the top of the rest of the content that was out there. It was quite a funny thing. And then when I was doing a lot of research earlier, I was thinking back to it, and like you would go to a race and people would be talking about, hey, did you see the video and blah, blah, blah. And it was like, it's kind of a cool thing to think about, like on the other side of the world, it was reaching that sort of audience still.
That's cool. I'm always blown away of like who has watched those videos and who like retains like the quotes and just like, I mean, I would be lying if I said we knew the impact of like what those videos had back then. We just didn't know the scope of things. And I remember even like being like, would Pinkbike like post this video? Like it's not cool in like the normal sense of things, but yeah, it was like kind of a crazy time. Yeah,
even, and I can't remember which film it was on, but I was just watching it the other day, but it might have been like, was there one that you did that was like film and edit or something like that?
That was more Matt, how to make a sick edit. Yeah, with like Reese Wallace was in it.
Yeah, there was like that one, and then there was a few others, but that one just sticks out in my mind in the sense of like the dropping. Every second word was dropping, like, and then I was like, yeah, that's exactly. And I know like you weren't quite much of a part of that, but it's just like, as you say, those quotes were just everywhere. Or as you say, like the how to buy a bike, and then the full office setup and things like that, and then go from there. So yeah, it's pretty funny, pretty cool what you guys achieved so early on there. And then how did that sort of grow from there? Because obviously there was like the rap battles, there was all these other different bits and pieces. There was obviously I'm just trying to think of the other one that was just popped into my head. Anyway, moving forward from that, like you guys started to do a bit more of the Harlow My Dude stuff, and obviously Matt was a big driver in that as well, but you had quite a big part. And then where did that sort of transition from almost comedy to more vlog style stuff, I guess? Yeah,
I think there was like a transition period where we're obviously making a lot of videos that were just videos for us and our ideas, and then brands start to see like the view numbers behind it and the type of comedy, and they're like, well, we want that. So we did like my first time camping was like an MEC supported video, and there's obviously a few more following that. But I think once that starts happening, it's like, okay, we start becoming almost like, well, we do become a production company, which is kind of was a weird thing, at least in my mind, because I was like, oh, this is a real thing that can happen. So there was like a transitional period, I think, where IFHT as a brand became kind of like a commercial making machine, essentially. Like we still did our own ideas from time to time, and there was a lot of stuff that was just ours, but a lot of times brands would come to us and be like, hey, we need, or we want like a how to be, and so we do like a how to be a skier or something like that. So there was that, but I think there was still the desire, especially from Matt's side, like he was like living this life as a mountain bike filmmaker. It's like, well, I should document this too. This is interesting stuff. And we had like we had like a second YouTube channel it was just called IFHT2, which is, we weren't good. Clearly did not know how to market ourselves at that point. And that was just like kind of silly little vlogs, like low production value, like just film in a day, hopefully edit it in a day or two and just put it out, to kind of keep people updated on what our lives were like outside of those bigger productions. And then that honestly started growing quite a bit. And again, like Matt was the driving force there in growing that and being like a online personality and having good online presence and building up this fan base. And that was kind of that, and the commercial side of things was what allowed me to kind of like, I quit my 9 to 5 and I became a employee of IFHT essentially. So it was a legit business.
Mm-hmm. So did you ever go to school for any of this stuff, or is this all self-taught?
No, yeah. So it's totally self-taught. Matt did like a little stint in film school, but I think like for what we were doing, it's tough to teach, especially back then. There wasn't like the level of YouTube tutorials that there are now, which is awesome. Like there's so much good information for free online. But for me, like I was like, I did not have the money to do school, or I could send myself into like insurmountable debt. And I was like, but I don't even know what I want to do or what I'm passionate about. So I should not do that. Yeah,
which is fair. And I think like, it's like one of those things that because it's so specific, and as you say, there wasn't a lot happening in the way of teaching around then. It was probably more based around the professional director, producer side of things more than that comedy skit. And you almost feel like you can either write a joke or you can't. And you guys obviously had that sort of whatever it is skill to be able to write those jokes and then be able to perform them at the same time, I guess.
I mean, that is the good and honestly the bad thing about YouTube or social media in general is you get pretty much instant feedback. So like a lot of those early videos were not good, but you do have to make them to learn, and then you post them and you see either the views are less or you get comments that are like, what was that? That was way too weird. That didn't make sense. And you're like, okay, you can kind of start to figure out the patterns. But that being said, it's like a moving target because things change, people change, the audience change. Yeah,
definitely. And I think like, it's kind of hard to explain, but one thing that I do want to ask about is, I don't even know how to explain it, but how did it feel like being one of those first influencers within the culture, within the community, I guess, in that sense of like, as we sort of mentioned, it was like very early on that you started producing some of these videos, you started building commercials, started building some of the comedy side of it, and also some of the serious side. Like there was definitely some serious videos out there about what you guys were doing, so I don't want to take away from that. But did you find as everything started to grow, you'd go to events and start to have that following, and did you notice that throughout?
Yeah, definitely. Like it even doesn't even have to be a fan. It can be just going to Whistler Bike Park, and it's like pretty quick you're in the lineup and like a lot of people are talking to you that you don't know, which is awesome. And it is easy to kind of get lost when you're just online and you see like the view numbers and you're like, okay, 10,000 or 20,000, that's awesome, good amount of views. But when you talk to the people in real life, you're like, oh, okay, it is making an impact, people are appreciating it. It's very, very cool. And then to see that grow is like insane. But it's interesting, and I don't know if Matt still gets it. I'm like very prone to imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
And I still am. Like I'm always like, I should not be here. Like some of the events we've been to or the projects we've been lucky to take a part of, I'm always like, oh my God, we gotta like perform and crush it because like this might go away. Or like also sometimes you're in a room with like people with a lot of Red Bull hats on or Monster hats, and you're like, oh God, we're freaking nerds. Like we should not be here. But hey, whatever, just enjoy it while it lasts.
Yeah, I think if people are willing to invite you to those type of things, then you're meant to be there. So
maybe, I don't know. I'm still, oh man, it's weird how maybe you find it too, like you do a podcast, right? You're putting yourself out there, but the level of anxiety that I have, I'm like, this doesn't make sense. Why am I putting myself out there when I'm so anxious about what people think?
Yeah, I do. I feel like a podcast is a little bit easier, and I definitely haven't reached anywhere near the fame that you guys have. But I do think about it back in Australia and racing and going to events, and the amount of people that would come up and chat with you would almost be so much that you couldn't ride your bike enough. And I'm sure you, as you say, like when you're in the park line and things like that, I'm sure people are coming up and trying to chat to you as you're trying to ride your bike. And but yeah, no, I don't know. I feel like as a racer, you almost put on a bit of a front and you have to be confident. And I don't know if you found that when you were going to whatever the project was or whatever it was, and then when you come home, you can just like unwind and sort of decompress a little bit. So
yeah, I mean, there's definitely, like, when you're doing a commercial, you're definitely like, okay, we got to be professional here. Like, yeah, it's the bike industry. I know it's like chill a little bit, and it is, but like, at the end of the day, you're getting paid to make a thing. You got to make a thing.
yeah.
So I wouldn't say you're like putting on a front or anything, but you're like, okay, like, let's, be here on time, execute, do that sort of stuff. So that's also like where the Mahalo side comes in, and you're like, well, this is our shoot. We can do whatever we want. We have a stupid idea. Let's go do it. We can be a little late. Who cares? Like, it's, a nice little outlet for that.
Yeah, definitely. Do you find when you are out in public, people sort of have an idea in their head about who you are, and then when they come and meet you, there's almost a bit of a difference because you might be slightly more relaxed or whatever it may be?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, like, I think people maybe are starting to realize it, but like, with like people on the internet, I'm like not as heightened as I am online than I am just right now, like when you're being filmed and you're on camera, you're going to be a little bit more like energetic and outgoing because that looks better to people. If you're like kind of monotone and like ho hum, they're like, why do I want to watch this? And I don't know if they know that, like, even news reporters, people who host game shows on TV, like, they're not like that 24/7. They have an off switch, right? And so I've definitely had meetings with people, or not meetings, but like people come up and say hi or whatever at the trailhead, and I think I'm just myself, and they're like, oh, you're a lot funnier in the videos. It's like, this has happened a couple of times. I'm like, what am I supposed to tell jokes right now? Like, just on a bike ride, I don't have, I can't be Brett Tippy. I can't be like joke.
Oh yeah, he's next level. And there's been a lot of requests to get Brett on the podcast. I just don't know if I could sit through an hour of listening to Brett through the headphones, and that's in as much respectful way as I can say it, but it's quite funny.
Oh, you should get him. He's awesome.
He's got so much energy. It's insane.
It's honestly, astounding. Having podcasted with him and just spent a lot of time filming with him and stuff. But someone like him is like, honestly, he's like, I don't know if he feels this right now, but he's been crushing it for years. Like, he's had to adapt to like different forms of media and different like career choices, and so he's like almost like a bit of a North Star in terms of how to navigate the bike world as you grow older.
Yeah. It's insane how much he's done and what he's doing and able to accomplish and things like that. It's just crazy. Talking about Brett, probably a good transition into some of your Pinkbike stuff. Mm-hmm. How did that come around? Obviously, like, you're doing still the Mahalo My Dude stuff. There's a bit of I always get this wrong. I'm going to have to read it. IFHT.
If you just say I fucking hate that.
Yeah. I remember doing a podcast with, was it Haley?
Oh, Haley Elise?
Yeah. And I think I screwed it up like more times than I said it right, and all she was doing was just laughing at me. But
you're not the first and you won't be the last. And it's worse when someone comes up to you and goes, oh, you're IHF, what do you call it? And you're like, you didn't think about it before you got here?
Yeah. The whole question. I'm gonna blame my dyslexia for that one, but not that I've been diagnosed for that, but that's what I'm gonna blame it on.
That's okay.
Anyway, yeah, how did that come around? Because I feel like you kind of jumped in and had some really big sort of projects within that and that world. How did that go?
Yeah, I mean that came from backing up a little bit. I used to work at Rocky Mountain Bikes, and at that time, Brian Park, who is now the like head of bike, I guess, head outside in Pinkbike, he was the marketing manager. Oh God, I hope I didn't get his title wrong. He's marketing someone at Rocky, and I worked under him there for a bit. Then he went to Pinkbike, and I went full-time IFHT. And after a couple of years, he reached out and said, "Hey, Pinkbike is putting more emphasis into video. We want to make like a team. We want to really grow the YouTube channel, really like pump some energy into it." And he was like, "Do you know anyone, or would you be interested?" And I was like, it was right after we had kind of made How to Buy a Mountain Bike, and it was like, to this day, I'm like, I don't even know if I made the right decision, but it was a really tough decision. But ultimately, I was like, well, this is an opportunity to learn, and like it's Pinkbike, like to me, and it's still Pinkbike is like my childhood dream, right? Like it's like I go on there every day still, but as a kid, I used to go on there like all day, every day. So to get an opportunity to be a part of something like that, I really just wanted to kind of shoot my shot and see and learn more about the industry from that side of things. Cause I feel like at IFHT, we were always on the other side of like brands approaching us, but now I could see kind of behind the scenes of the production stuff. And so, yeah, I took that opportunity, and yeah, it was kind of a whirlwind, like 2 or 3 years of Pinkbike after that.
Yeah. Well, like there was some pretty big projects with that. Like you had like the Academy that you did, which I want to dive into because I feel like there's a ton of questions that behind the scenes I'd love to ask about that. And then obviously you did a lot of the like videos on the bike testing and everything from the like the baller
budget versus baller
builds.
Loved
like
by
that.
Everyone. Nobody hated it. Not a single negative comment.
Never. But yeah, like I feel like there was like so many of those ideas. Was that a lot of your brainstorming, or was there like a team behind that? How did some of those come up?
Yeah, I would say there's a really good team behind those ideas. Like, yes, some are mine, but some are the sales team, and a lot are the tech team. And I definitely came in like guns a-blazing, like we got to put comedy into it and weird transitions and like just like kind of do wackier things. And that is well and good, but it does like, I think the one thing Pinkbike does really well still is like blend the tech back into it and do real testing on bikes and like do like come up pseudoscience, but you know, come up with conclusions on everything. And I was like, who cares? And I'm like, no, the Pinkbike readers care. Yeah. they will tell you if you screwed up. So that was a bit of a learning curve, but it was really cool to work with like a pretty big team. At that point, it was like the biggest video team I had worked with, and I guess it still is. And it was quite collaborative, and there were no stupid ideas. And it was in a time where, yeah, they were trying to grow, and it was like, okay, we can experiment a little bit. And so like the Grim Donut came around. That was Brian and Mike Levy's idea, and then I kind of came in to help with like how do we tell that story visually, but a lot of that was their writing as well. And so that was like what I'm kind of talking about in terms of learning and how to work with those bigger teams, and talk about topics that I didn't really at the time know about, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like sort of diving a bit deeper here, but it's sort of like exactly as you say, you've now been exposed to all of these so-called professionals within reason because it's the bike industry, but I feel like a lot of those people have been doing it for so long and they've got that understanding. They've also got the tech knowledge. They've got so much sort of behind them, and it's quite interesting how Pinkbike continues to be able to sort of just make content daily, and it just blows me away.
Dude, it's insane.
So like it's kind of cool to hear your side of it and how like so many people have their sort of idea put forward and then how that's mixed together and works together with that. With something like the academy, the Pinkbike Academy, where and how did that come up? Because I feel like that's such a unique idea, and you don't really see that in many sports. Like, you see all these big productions of the professional level side of things and following teams, but very rarely do you see like, hey, we're going to take a bunch of amateurs or so-called amateurs and run them through a bunch of different events and different things and training and then go from there and then eventually give them a professional contract. So like, where did that come from?
That was the impetus of that was at the time, Alan Crisp, he worked at the sales team there, or led the sales team there. He's now very high up at Outside, but that was his brainchild for sure. But he brought that to me, and I really like reality shows. I don't know how you feel about them.
Yeah, I love them.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm like super down for a reality show, and I'm really down to blend worlds together. And so like when he came with he was like, we should do some sort of academy thing where we bring in like almost pro racers or like semi-pro and like get them to the next step and give them like a legit prize that's like, okay, now you're on the world stage kind of thing. And I was like, yes, that is sick. And like my vision at the time for Pinkbike was eventually to like, yeah, we should grow it to like be a production studio, like make big things and like get on streaming platforms and make like things that look like TV shows. So that was a good idea, or it was a great idea and a good time to do it ish. It was around COVID, so not that great, but that was fully him, and then kind of tasked me to make it happen. But again, it was a team effort for sure. So
yeah, like I just remember like sitting back and almost waiting weekly for those shows to come out.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
It was such a, and then as you say, unfortunately with COVID, it kind of killed it a little bit, but
for sure.
There was still a few years there. What was there, 3?
They did 3 seasons, or we did 3 seasons.
Yeah.
Originally, like before we knew what COVID was, I wasn't even going to be like on camera at all. Like I was not supposed to be the host. It was going to be, I believe, Cam McCall.
Yeah.
And which is great. He's a great host. But COVID kind of shut down the border. And so he couldn't come over. And then for season 1, like the cast is all Canadian, and they're awesome, local shredders. But originally the plan was to have it worldwide, of course. Yeah. And so it was a really good year to like figure things out, and honestly like probably helped us run or walk before we ran. And then going into season 2, it was like we made a lot of adjustments, kind of pulled some of the reality TV out of it and put more of like the racing aspect into it. And I think honestly I'm like very proud of season 2, and like still proud of season 1. And like I think both of those show or seasons of whatever did what we wanted to do, which was give someone like Evan Wall or Flo an opportunity to like take their talent and just go racing for the world stage. And we did that like with a legit prize money and a contract.
Yeah. And they both did very well.
Yeah.
Like Evan's still racing very well. And then Flo, correct me if I'm wrong, but she won a bunch of the e-bike side of things, did she not?
And yeah, just crushed it. And like, that's, you know, we're talking about only 1% of racers make it as their career. It's like sometimes that's what it takes is a reality show.
Need that like little bit of a push to get yourself separated from everybody else. And then 3rd season there was Max that won it.
So that I left PB right after kind of season 2 came out, and then they did season 3 without me. They did ask, but I couldn't make it work. It's a lot of time. Like that's I mean, I would say we worked on the pre-production for like 4 months, probably. Wow. And then the shoot is like 3 weeks. And then the editing is like another 2 or 3 months of like revisions and getting the stories right and stuff like that. So I just did not have the time to do it.
Yeah, it's almost a full year within a year, I guess.
Totally.
That's crazy. So yeah, moving forward from that, what were some of the other cool things you did at Pinkbike with like different projects that really stand out in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, like I look back fondly on the Academy, of course, but like we did a ton of series, like Hot Lap and that like, and Grim Donut, where it was like these ideas that like we had like a framework of, but we didn't really know what was going to happen. And that's like my favorite type of filming, when you're just like, whatever happens, and sometimes you kind of like strike gold and you're like, oh my God, something crazy happened here. Like when Eddie Masters and Matt Walker decided to ride the Brody 8-ball down Cakewalk as fast as they can. And you're like, oh my God, I hope these guys, like, I hope we don't ruin these guys' careers riding this old bike. Like that, or the Grim Donut when Johan Borelli like went way faster on that than he did his Commensal, and he was like, I think you guys like created a really good bike here. And we're like, what?
I do remember watching that and thinking like, and it was almost, the video was almost set up for it not to work.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like it was almost, the storyline was like, oh, we've gone and done something dumb. Let's see what happens. And then all of a sudden it was better.
Yeah.
And that was like, yeah, that was quite a good one. And then to have Johan as well, like his energy on camera is like probably second to none.
He's great.
It's crazy. So yeah, I guess, yeah, they're awesome videos.
But yeah, even like, we did like, in my time at Pinkbike, I'm pretty sure I was a part of like 500 videos or something crazy.
Yeah,
like
wow.
that. Like it was insane. But we put out a lot of like field test stuff, and I was always really proud of those, like to get all those bikes and all those people in a place and film, and hopefully nothing goes wrong. But when stuff goes wrong, it's actually kind of good because that's like more entertaining. And yeah, like learned so much. Like I can't express enough how like thankful I am to them and that team, and for putting up with me and my like stupid ideas, but also like, yeah, just trying to be a part of things.
Yeah, I heard some like super quirky things on some of those field tests and things like that, in the sense of like having to record voiceovers in like I don't even know how to describe it. Like if you got all the pillows from the lounge, I don't know if you were part of that one or not, but there was one where I heard, might have been Mike Levy or someone like that, was like tucked into a bunch of pillows to make it almost like a sound room.
Yeah, we've done a lot of stupid stuff like that. That's like where, you know, you just have to figure it out and just make it work. Yeah, we've had a lot of that. We had a lot of like, when a bike breaks, it's like the best and worst thing, because you've captured something crazy happening. Hopefully it was on camera. But now you're like, well, we got to go to the brand and talk to them and be like, hey, the bike broke. What do you want to say? Which adds a lot of time and energy. And then it's like, okay, how do we put this into the video so it's like nice to look at and make sense? And there was times like I broke a bike doing the huck to flat, like the pole. I forget what that bike's called, pole. Yeah. And like the braces between the seat and the chainstays folded in. Oh. And we were like, sick. Shit. Like, this is a weird way to break a bike. How do we explain this? And then, so it just adds a lot of faff basically to video production. But I don't even know what I'm trying to say. It's just
there's just a lot of
like makeshift shit that goes on. And I think people would be surprised at the level of like last minute, like literally night before video goes out, like you're trying to figure it out. So yeah.
Crazy. So I guess moving forwards a little bit, two last things I want to really touch on is this past year, you've really gone out on your own, a lot more sort of free agent, freelance type of work. Mm-hmm. How has that gone? Because I feel like, yeah, it's a big change, bit of a shift for yourself.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah, terrifying. I don't really, this time last year, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm still a little like, I don't know what I'm doing. But I do feel like I'm in a better place mentally for sure. And like, that sounds terrible. Like IFHT and Mahalo is the best. It's still going, is the best. But I was in a place where I wasn't like 100% into it. And I've kind of explained, like, there's a whole video of like why I left. But I basically, it's such a small team. We're trying to make things happen. The bike industry sucks. Like, not as like an industry, just like in terms of cash flow and people wanting to spend money on the exact thing that we built our business around. So that's not their fault. That's economics and things that are smarter. It's just the world. Right. Exactly. It's not only the bike industry that's like that right now either. So I was kind of like, if I'm not 100% into this and we're like a 4-person team, 5-person team, 3-person team, whatever, I should not be here. Like, that's not fair to anyone else. And so I was like, I had a chat with Matt and I was like, sorry, like I can't, I'd like to kind of just part ways at the end of this year. We're still friends. We were friends way before it. We'll be friends after it. It's just business. And like, when you zoom out, people start and leave jobs all the time, right? Sure, like, it's just like how life goes. And yes, bikes are cool and fun and making videos is cool and fun, but at the end of the day, it is a job. So either lasts forever or it doesn't. So yeah, bring it back to your question. No, sorry, that was a huge ramble.
That's perfect.
Huge ramble. Last year or this past year, just being freelance was good. Like, honestly, at the beginning of the year, I didn't really think too much about how to make money, which sounds privileged as fuck, but I just wanted to do something that I really wanted to do. And then I did the bikepacking trip down Vancouver Island. That was just like, I wasn't like, ooh, how can I sell this, or like, how can I become a content creator and I'll just do something like that. I was like, no, I've always wanted to do something like a big bikepacking trip. That seemed like a easy-ish to get to, at least.
Yeah.
One, and it kind of made sense in my head of like, I'll bring a mountain bike and I'll go mountain biking along the way. And so people responded really well to that. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I liked doing that. Maybe I can do that more. And so I kind of split my time making stuff for me, but also working as a freelancer, filming other people's stuff. I still did work with Pinkbike, did a couple field tests, did some like more commercialized pieces for them as well. So it's been interesting. It's kind of like I'm just juggling right now, basically.
Yeah, it's sort of just like finding little, exactly as you say, like opportunities and things like that to pick up and run with, and it's kind of cool to see your face popping up all over the place instead of just very concentrated in one area.
I hope people aren't tired of it. Honestly, sometimes I'm like, this is too much Jason on the Pinkbike homepage for today.
No, I think it's good though. Like, I just watched the video with Quarter HP, and like you're part of that, and then obviously, as you say, like some of the Pinkbike stuff this year, and I'm quite good friends with like Jeff Livingston and Steve.
Oh, sick.
And like obviously you're out doing some filming with those guys, and
always a terrifying time.
Yeah, Jeff says the same thing. Jeff's like, the only reason I'm not scared is because it's Steve.
Yeah.
He's like, the amount of times I'm like, this could go one of two ways, but I'm confident in it. He's like, but yeah, like that's a whole nother story, and Steve is another. But like I think going back to what you're talking about, some of those opportunities in the commercial side of things, how did you go with was it like finding these opportunities and then bringing partners on board, or was it the other way? Like you would come up with a bit of an idea, and I guess it depends on what it was, but like you have some really good partnerships both inside and outside of the industry. How did that happen? Because as you said, the industry right now is, I guess, on the rebuilding phase. I don't want to say that it's a negative thing right now, because I think it is coming back to being a good position. And I've had conversations with different, let's call them influencers for that matter, and sort of talking about like your value in the industry is based on today's value, not on last year's value. And it's, how do you find that in the sense of, as I say, like bringing different partners on and people like that? Yeah,
I mean, I think it's always very tough to sell an idea that's not the person's idea, like not the marketing manager, whoever you're talking to's idea. So I have literally a note in my notes app. I have so many stupid ideas that would make no one any money, but I just want to do them. And so I do try and pick a couple of those or 3 of those and morph them into a bit more of like, okay, how can like a brand come on and do this with me? And sometimes I don't, I just go do them. But like the Vancouver Island bikepacking one's a good example. where I was like, well, I'm going to go through all these like cities or towns or whatever, and I know they have tourism associations. I'm going to make bike content there. I'll reach out to them and see if they're interested in partnering up. And a vast majority of them were. And I was like really excited because I'm genuinely stoked to go to those places. I would love to promote them. I think people should go there and ride there and help the economy, and they will have fun in return. Those trails are all so good on the island. That being said, there are times when maybe there's a product launch or an idea or a destination, and people will come to me and be like, hey, we have this thing. Can you do something with this thing? And it's like your job or my job to make it entertaining, fun, approachable, and perform to some degree. So to answer your question, it's like both, basically. Yeah,
exactly. It's almost like a bit of a what is the goal of the project, whether it is as you say, like a bit of a fun trip versus a commercial, I guess, in that sense.
Yeah, and I've had ideas like just fall flat. Like I've tried to sell a lot of things and people are like, it's just a tough time in the industry, hard to take risks right now. And I don't fault them for saying no. Like either it's my idea is not good enough, or maybe I pitched it wrong, or maybe it's just the time isn't right, and that's fine. Yeah. But yeah, there's like, for every yes, there was like 10 no's probably.
Of course, yeah. So I guess before we start to wrap this guy up a little bit, what have you got for people out there, especially some of the younger kids out there that are getting into this side of things? Obviously, when you started, the world was a bit different, but like, what are some of the main things that you sort of suggest to the people out there?
In terms of like being a content creator?
Yeah, I guess like in the sense of like you've built your career off ideas, I guess, at the end of the day, like things that you wanted to do, things that you've wanted to achieve. And as I said in the beginning, you're sort of one of the small amount of people that have been able to succeed at that. What is some of the skills that people should be focusing on if they want to go in this direction? Yeah,
I mean, it's tough, and I don't see myself as an advice giver. But if I was to kind of like pinpoint the steps along the way that I think were good for me to like have, one was not making content to become famous or grow a following or get more likes or whatever. It was just go make stuff to make stuff and be creative, be weird, do something different. Don't just see what you're seeing online and emulate it. Like, go be yourself. And it's so cliche to say that, but legitimately, like, go be yourself. Because if you're, I've heard this from like non-mountain bike content creators a lot, but they're like, if you have a mask on for like 10 years, like you're kind of going to lose yourself a bit. And then those things that when people see you in real life happen, and they're going to be like, oh, that person was fake as hell. Like, that sucks. So I think people can see through that, and they're seeing through it more and more, especially as content creation becomes more of a career path. So definitely that. Definitely, like, if you do want to make it a career, like, figure out some business stuff. Yeah. Like, actually, like, figure out how much, you need to make and how you're going to make it. And are you going to you're going to do a ton of sponsorships or like whatever it is, like how are you going to afford camera gear, like all this stuff. If I was to go back in time and go to school, I'd probably like take a business course, to be honest. Like, I think it would be really helpful for that type of thing. And then other than that, like, if it starts to suck, like, stop. Don't force it. Like, maybe it's just not for you. I don't know. Like, it's okay. Like, you can just go and ride your bike and have fun.
Yeah, exactly. And there's 2 points there that I really love. And one of them, the last one there, is like, if it starts to suck, like, stop doing it. And I remember a quote from Travis Pastrana and his dad.
Sick.
And it's sort of like, if somebody's willing to pay you to have fun, continue to do it and work as hard as you can at it, because as soon as they're not willing to pay you to have fun, then it's time to get a real job. And I guess that goes hand in hand with like yourself. If you're not enjoying it, like, stop doing it. And then as soon as you started talking about the business aspect of it and maybe going to school, the first person that popped into mind is Remy. And arguably one of the most famous mountain bike content creators.
For sure.
And he's got quite a bit of a business background and schooling behind him as well. So I feel like that, as you say, makes a big aspect of understanding money, understanding what's coming in, what's going out, what you need to do with business dealings, because you're not just dealing with the average person and shaking hands. You're actually creating content that goes along with a contract that has whatever you want to call it, like returnables and certain KPIs and things like that on it.
Totally.
Which I guess makes a big thing with the business side of it.
Yeah, I think too, like, being willing to say no. Like, I think right now, especially, it seems like there's a bit of a race to the bottom in terms of like brand deals, or like people will do stuff for free. And I'm always like, no, get paid. Like, you are taking time and energy out of your day to create essentially an advertisement for this company. Please make sure you're getting paid, or just say no. Like, it, you know, I feel like it, what's the saying? Like, a rising tide raises all ships.
Yeah.
You know, if we are, as a whatever collective or a group of content creators, if we're all able to, you know, ask for money, it doesn't have to be a ton. That's gonna help everyone in the end, because that's just gonna become the normal. It's like, yeah, just don't do stuff for free.
Yeah, that's a really good point for sure.
Unless it's your own cool shit, then go do it for free.
Yeah, well, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly. This is cool shit.
Yeah. No, it's definitely rewarding to be on this side as well, for sure.
Yeah, and you get to talk to people you don't normally get to. When we had a podcast called Feeding Off Each Other, and regardless of like the business side of it or whatever, like, my favorite part was just talking to people that I would never, and it's not because I don't like them or whatever. It's just like, you're not in the same room one-on-one for ever, really. So it's like the opportunity to get to talk to someone is pretty sweet.
Yeah, well, this is a perfect example. Is like, as I said, like, I was watching your videos, whatever it is, 15 plus years ago on the other side of the world. And now we're sitting in the same room chatting. So
it's crazy. Life's insane.
Yeah, it is. So yeah, thank you for coming in.
Oh, was that an hour?
That was a full hour.
Holy shit, we time traveled. Cool.
We could go a lot longer. I'll just run out of points to talk about.
Oh yeah, that would be bad. That's just not good podcasting then.
Just full ramble.
Did you ask all your questions?
I did.
Oh, sick. Yeah. Perfect. Okay.
Awesome.
Good.
Well, thank you for coming in and spending the time.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, let me know if you want to come back. I got nothing going on.
Perfect. We might have to redo another one soon.
Okay. Right on. Or we can go biking.
We could do that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Sick.
Cheers.
Bye.